Give me a like, subscription, thumbs up. Hey everybody, it's Sully. And it's coffee time. Today, I gotta tell you, FPV to me is something, it's a hobby that I absolutely love. I think it is so much fun, and when the weather's better, I'm gonna have some more videos of flying because it is so much fun and I love it. Love it. It's ugly truth time. When I bought my first quadcopter, I had to set it up. I had to, this is not my first one. My first one was a 5-inch. When I bought it, it didn't fly very well. And I didn't know why, but it was mostly the camera I couldn't see. And it was the parts, because the motors were kind of weak. And the transmission had lines through it. And you just accepted that as part of the experience. You had to learn to put capacitors on. You had to learn that certain channels in analog are better than other channels in analog. Trust me, I use channel 1. A lot of people use channel 1, so don't do that. A1, I think it's 1865 or something. Don't use that one. But I had to learn a lot. And then evolution comes along, and cameras are now digital, pretty much. I will say DJI nailed it. They did a great job. All right, so that takes that learning curve out. Okay, all right. That's okay. I love to fly. All right, cool. I just won't go to digital because it's too easy. It's just too easy. It's too easy. I like a challenge. All right. Then, whenever I bought my first quad, I had this thing called bounce back. Boing, boing. When you do a flip and it resets itself, and it's really cool. And at that point, I was like, ooh, I gotta figure out how to get around that. So you learn how to PID tune. Okay, on Betaflight, for me it was Betaflight 3.1.7 was the best one I had up to that point. And you learn how to PID tune and you wouldn't get the bounce back. Bing, bing, bing. But you might get warm motors, you might get other issues. You put your D gains too high, your motors would smoke. Okay, well now you got sliders. Because Betaflight developers decided that it was too hard to learn how to PID tune. So they put sliders in, and they work great. And I was like, crud. And then they're like, ooh, let's work with filtering. And then Jazz Maverick and JESC and BL Heli 32 all said, ooh, RPM filtering. We should make that just a feature. So if you're on BL Heli Suite 32, it's a feature. And if you're on BL Heli ESCs, Jazz Maverick made it for free. JESC said, bam, give me a few bucks for all my efforts. JESC, props to you. Joe Lucid, props to you. Absolutely phenomenal programming. But you took out another challenge of filtering. Because once you turn on RPM filters and make a few tweaks, your motors don't heat up. 105-degree day, your motors don't heat up. All right, okay. So there's no challenge there. So you get to motors themselves. Whenever I first bought, they were closed bottom, and a tiny grit of sand could wreck your day because it would get in there and you couldn't clean it up. It's very hard. Now they're open bottom. Well, crud. With closed bottom, you couldn't see if the screw was hitting the winding. Now you can see exactly where the screw comes in. Crud. With the old motors, vibrations used to make their way to the flight controller. So you had to buy little TPU mounts or get a 3D printer and mount your own. And filtering would not take care of that. But again, with that RPM filter, bam, it's just easy. Like you turn on RPM filterings, you don't have to soft mount. I love my accent, good grief. You don't have to soft mount your motors. With the flight controller, they come with gummies now for the most part to soft mount those. Soft mount those. Soft mount your flight controller. And it's like, ooh, that's really good. You're soft mounting your flight controller. Except again, RPM filtering just negates the need for it. But it still provides peace of mind more than anything. It will help slightly, as long as the soft mounting is very good, or is tight. And it's so funny, because it used to be that you had to loosely tightened the flight stack controls to keep soft mounting in check, to keep it from becoming hard mount. But now you can pretty much tighten it and crank it down, and your soft mounting takes out the tiny vibrations that RPM filtering does not. So once again, you don't have to soft mount your motors. You don't have to soft mount your flight controller. So when you take all that out, you got props. All right, well, GemFan and Dowprop have come out with crap loads of great props. Dang it. So now, for a person like me, I majored in music, all right? And you had to go into a room and practice and practice and practice and get better. And when I was in middle school, my saxophone played a D is a D sharp. So when you expected D, it was so sharp, it was almost E flat. So anyway, I had to overcome that and drive the jaw and do things. And then when I got to college, I got a great saxophone that you could just blow and play. And I feel like the industry right now is where you can get a quadcopter and you no longer have to worry about your motors. Unless you get crappy motors. If you're in the $10 to $15 range, they're all good. I'm going to say it. As long as they're new motors. And yeah, so even Racer Star, Emax, any of the open bottom motors I've tried, and I've tried a lot of them, they're very good. Your frames are pretty good right now. Carbon cutting isn't a new technique, and they're normally thick enough and good enough. Your top plate that holds your camera, that actually is something that needs some work, but it's very easy to wipe out jello. So that's cool, all right? Your HD, that's cool. Your props, once you find a good one, there are lots of good ones. They're very easy to find, and they're cheap, so you just swap through till you find good ones. Your motors, your flight stack, your VTX, your cameras. There are so many good options that right now, if you're getting into FPV, I am jealous of you, and I'm a little mad because the learning curve on it is so much lower. The flight curve on it is so much lower. Flight simulating software is so much better. Controllers, all right, there are tons of new controllers. They are so much better. I'm a little mad right now. A little bit mad because everything in quadcopters today is now not revolutionary, but evolutionary. So when you buy a good one, or when you put together a good one, and it's very easy to put together a good one for $100 or so, or 140 to buy and a great one. Shoot, 150 will get you a great quad, period. And if it doesn't, you haven't been doing research. That's it. So with all that being said, and it's a great time to get in, where you no longer have to worry about your instrument, you have to worry about your technique. And that's great. That is a perfect time. All that comes in, and there are quads out there who are just sitting there trying to figure out, like, what can we do to make this hobby work? And you have FAA coming in, and you have the FAA coming in, and you have the FAA coming in, and you have remote ID, and you have all this extra crap that's going to suck, and it's going to ruin what is a perfect time for the hobby. A perfect time for the hobby, where all of your parts come together for FPV, everything's coming together, and then suddenly regulations come in, and they're going to basically not ruin it, because I feel like you can get around a lot of them, but it's going to really stunt what is a great hobby. And I'm so kind of annoyed and a little bit on the, because it's a perfect time for the hobby. Like, you're taking a great thing, and I feel like Chris Farley here, where you're taking a great thing and you're just going to smash it, and you're going to crush it, and you're going to beat it down, and you're going to make it not fun anymore. Because you have to worry about remote ID, you have to worry about da-da-da-da. So if you're getting into the hobby, be cognizant that the future is going to be different than the present, and that is different from the past. The present is what I'm going to call the 90s of FPV. That's when everything just works, and it's so much easier. I miss the 90s. And I'm not saying the 90s were great, but whatever. It's what I'm going to call, like, right now, for your money, there is just so little that will not work in FPV like it used to. You used to have to avoid bad motors. You used to have to avoid bad flight controllers. You used to have to avoid bad ESCs. You used to have to definitely avoid bad cameras. VTXs used to burn out all the freaking time. And right now, everything is going smoothly. And I'm wondering, what can we do to f this up? So welcome to the new world. That is Sully. That is hard truth time. So get out there, get on the sites for FAA, get out there, argue your case, make it sane, make it coherent, make a difference, because we're in a perfect time right now for FPV, and everything is just, it's mind-blowing at how it's going to get screwed up. And that makes me very sad, because it's been a great hobby for the last 3 years for me. And it's been like the mind-clearing hobby that a lot of people need. And then suddenly there's going to be so many things that you have to worry about just to go out and fly. In what used to be, hey, don't do anything stupid, don't piss anybody off, and enjoy yourself. Now it's, oh, you can't, don't get me started. That's Sully. Give me a like, subscription, thumbs up. Let me know what you think down below. Do you feel like right now you get your money's worth out of the hobby? Or do you feel like you do for right now, but in a little bit you might not, and you might have to change and alter? I don't know. Anyway, that's Sully. Thank you so much. We're going to get back into it. We're going to get back out and fly. It's not the end by any means, not at all, but it's definitely, we're at a point where we have to figure out how we move forward.